All right, let's go ahead and get started. We're going to talk about how to handle the holidays and not totally derail. So let me share my screen and get into this. So just kind of going through, I want to give you guys some actionable tips on how to stay on track during the holidays, not have food guilt. My goal is for every single person to find food freedom. So let's talk about some practical ways to actually do this. So we all know that the holidays are challenging. There are lots of foods, lots of delicious foods that we love that we don't get all of the time. And it can be easy to have the mindset like almost like I've been restricted, so now I'm going to binge or overeat. And I don't want it to be like that. Okay. So, holiday meals are very carb heavy, sugary, lots of saturated fats and that sort of thing. And this often triggers overeating. And a lot of times people approach it like, I want to save room for the feast, which almost always backfires. We'll talk more about that. But this leads to blood sugar dips, intense hunger, inevitable binge eating, and then you feel guilty. Your energy crashes, and it's like the same cycle over and over. And this is where we really get into, okay, I'm going to start again on Monday, or even in this situation, like I'm going to start again January 1st. And I don't want us to approach it this way. So, what do we do about that? Just remember, for those of you who are trying to lose weight, losing weight is the hardest part. It is going to be so much easier for you to maintain, and that's what most Americans never find. It goes from an overeating, calorie surplus to calorie deficit. So back and forth between surplus diet, surplus diet. Um, and this typically goes on for generations. It's not something that we want to teach our kids. So I want to really reframe this. But I do want you to know that losing weight is the hardest part. When you get to the point of just maintaining, you're going to be in a lot better position to make it through this without feeling discouraged. So hang in there. So the goal isn't restriction or depriving yourself. I want you to enjoy festive foods, but do it mindfully. Keep your blood sugar steady whenever we can. I'll give you some hacks for that. And that's going to help your energy. It's going to help you mentally. You're going to feel like you came out of the day or the meal winning and not feeling like you ruined everything and you just got to start over. So we'll talk about some of those strategies. All right, so first let's talk about planning your plate and timing. So if you think about a plate, I'd like veggies to be half of it. So whatever veggie is available. And maybe for me, this looks like when I am signing up for what I'm bringing to the gathering, I always make sure that I bring a veggie because then I know that there is something there that I can fill half my plate with. Okay. A fourth of it, we want to focus on lean protein. Turkey is a great way to do this, which, we'll typically be having turkey for Thanksgiving. Other lean proteins would be chicken, fish, that sort of thing. But a fourth of your plate with the lean protein, and then a fourth of a plate with the complex carbs. So this for Thanksgiving would be, this is a good rule of thumb just in general, but specifically talking about Thanksgiving, a fourth of the plate could be things like sweet potato casserole, corn casserole, whatever bread. So I want you to pick your top two to three, like your favorite two to three things. You don't necessarily need to have every single carb. What are your favorites? And then I want you to literally put like 2 tablespoons, like a couple bites of each of those things on your plate to fill that fourth of your plate. Okay. We can take it a step further and say it's best to, when you sit down with this plate, start with the veggies and the protein and eat the carbs last. This really plays a big role in keeping your blood sugar steady. For those of you who do not know about the Glucose Goddess, I highly recommend that you follow the Glucose Goddess on Instagram. She has lots of awesome hacks like this and some of the things that I work with you guys on. But eating the veggies and protein first with that fiber and protein is going to blunt the blood sugar spike. This is not just for diabetics. This is for every single person because lots of us do have a component of insulin resistance or we have genetics that favor insulin resistance. If you are a woman who feels like you would like to lose some belly fat, this is absolutely something that you should be implementing, okay? So then let's talk about timing. So making sure you eat at regular intervals throughout the day. So do not save your calories for the feast. It backfires. It's never a good plan. I want you to focus on getting lots of good whole foods in, fruits and vegetables, beans, nuts and seeds, protein, so eggs, cottage cheese, whatever it is. Have all of those normal things earlier in the day. Do not save up for the feast. And then just kind of thinking about if you want dessert, think about reducing the amount of carbs you're having with your actual meal to balance the total intake. And then hack two, so just kind of thinking through eating mindfully, which a lot of this stuff, I think sometimes the behavioral stuff sounds a little basic, but we are so out of touch with this as Americans. So hear me out, and I would challenge you to practice this because most of us don't do this. But slow down. I want you to be sitting down for the entire meal. I don't want you to be standing at a bar picking on chips and salsa, or cheese and crackers, charcuterie, like that kind of stuff. If you are eating, you are sitting down and you are focused on your food. Slowing down, giving your brain some time to register fullness before you go for more. Put your fork down between bites. That's a good way to slow yourself down. On almost all of the gut tests that I look at, we look at some markers that has to do with how thoroughly you chew your food and how fast you eat. And because we live in this hustle culture where we're eating on the go and that sort of thing, this is not something that comes naturally to us. So put your fork down between bites, savor the food. Act like this is the first time you're eating the food. I want you to focus on it, savor it. Pay attention to the taste, but also pay attention to all the other things around you, the conversation, the sounds, the smells, all of it. And that kind of is a good segue into focus and presence. So eating away from screens, away from distractions. There's no TV on. We're not scrolling our phone. These are good things even outside of the holidays. And we're probably actually better about that part during the holidays. But I want you to pay attention to flavors, textures, and how your body feels as you eat. So we want to get away from like rigid calorie counting and forcing our body into something that we feel like it should be doing and focus more on how is this making me feel? Do I feel hungry? Do I feel satisfied? And really, I mean, those kind of things are so empowering. Always make sure you hydrate, so drinking plenty of water throughout the day. A lot of times our brains mistake hunger as or thirst as hunger. So making sure that you stay up on this is fantastic. And then I have included some just healthier swaps here. So like, you can do cauliflower instead of mashed potatoes. Or maybe what I like to do in that situation, especially like cauliflower rice and rice, I don't do it instead of fully, but I mix it half and half. So if I want rice, I do like a half a cup of rice, but then I also add in riced cauliflower to bulk it up so that I'm not lying on the more carb heavy food for all of my nourishment. And the same thing with mashed potatoes. You can do like some potatoes, but the other half cauliflower mash, and I guarantee you people will not notice the difference. I've tried this with my children, and children are like the ultimate, I know if something changes, right? Some other things you can do are instead of heavy cream-based dishes, you can use Greek yogurt. I do this all the time just anyway. If something calls for like sour cream, I use Greek yogurt in chicken salad, on top of chili, like whatever the situation is, that's a really good swap. And then just choosing some better, more natural sugar options to sweeten things like maple syrup, honey, coconut sugar. They're all still sugars. I don't want to sugarcoat that, no pun intended. Um, but choosing the more natural version, obviously, and like a less processed version is better. And then just paying attention to your portion. And if you have yeast and you feel like that's a big thing that yeast would drive is sugar cravings. So if you feel like you have out of control sugar cravings, we need to talk because you more than likely need a gut test. Number three is that you move and manage stress. So taking even, I put 10 to 20 here, but even a 5 to 10 minute walk after eating, or actually even doing some body weight squats. This helps again blunt that sugar spike. It helps digestion. It prevents energy crashes. And just kind of thinking through like building movement into your holiday traditions, like family walks, maybe dancing, playing outdoor things with the kids, maybe things like the turkey trot. Those are good things to focus on so that it's not all food focused. Make sure that you get good sleep, that we're managing stress because that plays a big role in cravings. And remember, this all has to be balanced. This is not an all or nothing kind of mentality. We want to embrace balance. We want to be consistent. This is not a time, that we have to be perfect. I want you to enjoy your favorite foods in moderation without guilt. This meal is not going to derail your progress, just like eating one salad is not going to get you to your goal. It can be really helpful, I find, to verbalize your goals and have like partners that you're doing this with so it doesn't feel like you're going to an event and you're like, oh, there's nothing I can eat, and you don't want to be that person and just all the social kind of things that come with that. So bring a healthy dish to gatherings so that you know there's something that you can have. Using a smaller plate is a good trick too. So that just naturally reduces your portion because there's less space. And a lot of times that makes you feel less deprived, like having to totally turn something down versus just having a smaller plate. So your brain perceives a full small plate is more satisfying than a partially filled larger one. That's just kind of like a mind thing. Um, and just, being mindful, noticing patterns, not feeling like, oh my gosh, I'm so mad that I had that and beating yourself up about it. That's not the approach we want to have at all. And redefine the season. And what I mean by that is, yes, food and being thankful for our food, but also focusing on the people around us, the connection, the reflection, the conversations, and all the other things, like not just having the holiday be all about food. And I think that sometimes in our culture and just as Americans, that sometimes is the direction it goes. So again, thinking about the previous plate would be more just like in general. And then on here, I just added the small treat space. So lots of vegetables, 25% lean protein, 25% complex whole grains. For the sake of Thanksgiving, this would be more of like, I'd say like I want the corn casserole and the green bean casserole and all that kind of stuff. And then a small treat space so that you feel like you're able to enjoy everything without feeling deprived. So just some foods that can help balance blood sugar. And if you're thinking about, okay, well, what should I bring? I do love Lily Eats and Tells. I think I've told most of you this, but lilyeatsandtells.com, all of her recipes are fantastic. But some of the power foods for steady energy would be leafy greens and non-starchy vegetables. So spinach, kale, broccoli, peppers, Brussels sprouts. Brussels sprouts are in season right now. I'm always a fan of eating seasonally. Doing nuts, seeds, healthy fats. So nuts, chia seeds, avocado, olive oil, lean proteins, whole grains, and then hydration. Vegetables first, making sure we have some healthy fats in there, quality protein. This is going to give your microbiome what it needs. This is going to quiet cravings and help you still be able to enjoy the other more indulgent things, but also feel good while you do it. So I want you to enjoy food. I want you to stay balanced. This is not an all or nothing, and I want you to feel good. So plan ahead, use the plate method, eat at regular intervals. Do not save all of your calories. Then pace, slow down, savor, and listen to your body, and prioritize movement, sleep, and self-compassion. And remember, the holidays are about joy and connection, not just food. But I hope that this gives you some really practical tips to tackle the next 6 weeks with confidence. And then you guys are going to be starting January 1st in such a better place than if you just throw all of this out the window, let it all kind of go. And then we're starting even further in the hole on January 1st. If anyone has any questions, please let me know, and I will see you guys soon.